We are on Entrepreneurial OOMPH with Debra Pearlman. I'm so happy to be here today, and I am so grateful to have Randy Hux joining me. We're having a conversation, kind of I guess, a continuation of our last conversation, and we're talking just a little bit about being transparent and alignment and using some of that language. And it's interesting because, Randy, you shared with me, and if you'll share with the listeners, you had talked about your criteria for an ideal client. So can you tell us who you are and just give everybody an idea of the name of the company? I know you're in Louisiana, but who your ideal client is, and that would be a great way to start the conversation.
Sure, absolutely. So I'm Randy Hux, Hux, and the name of our company is Hux Capital Management. And we have 4 people here locally, and we're located in Lafayette, Louisiana is our main place. But we also work in Scottsdale. We also work in New Jersey. We have offices there. We have staff there as well. So, but we do all our trading through Schwab. So we're a 100% independent firm. And we've been in business for about 20 years. And my background, my experience is that I'm born and raised in Texas. Went to school at Texas A&M, where I got a degree in accounting and finance, and also became a CPA afterwards, and went to work at Ernst & Young. So that's a little bit about my background, and then I spent 20 years in the biotech world, and now at 63 years old, we help people retire with a peace of mind, and it's been a lot of fun. We help them with their estate plans. We help them with tax work. We help them with just about anything that will help them make or save money. So our ideal client is, our typical client, I guess you would say, is anywhere between the age of 55 and 75. And they typically have anywhere between $1.5 million and $8 million. So that's about the range. And we have about 100, I have about 130, 140 clients. I'm only interested in getting another 10, maybe 15, because we're really big on a client service model. But we also have another advisor here in the office that's working on his, building his book. So he has another 30, 40 clients, and he would like to get another 100 clients or so. But just that's kind of how we're set up. And everything that we do is built around nothing but fiduciary work and doing the work that is in the best interest of our clients. We don't even consider ourselves in the process. So that's a little bit about us. I hope that helps you, Debra, and I hope it helps anybody that's watching, because I just want to, be transparent,
Yeah.
And
well, we're gonna dig a little deeper. So that was the salad dressing and the croutons. We're going down into the lettuce now. You ready? We're gonna.
Yeah.
So, because you made the transition, you talked about coaching when we talked earlier, and so there's a lot of you're in service to others, and I think that from my perspective, my takeaway with the conversation is that is your that's in your soul, and you're very passionate about it, and it sounds like it's translating into the business, which is really a gift to your clients. So how do people find you now? How do you market yourself and advertise the company?
Yeah, great question. So we have a marketing service that we're using right now. We like them a lot. And they send us qualified clients. They do the vetting. So anybody that comes through them is one way. We also have, as you can imagine, client referrals. Very proud to say that we've never lost a client, and we only worked with what the clients that we feel fit our firm. So they're high quality people. They're high quality individuals. They're qualified with money, but they're looking for more than just a typical 60-40 portfolio. They're not looking for anything traditional. They're looking for customization.
Yeah.
But
I just want to go back for a second to what you just said. It's so interesting because I know so many, and especially on the newer side, the newer entrepreneurs, new CEOs, even business professionals, especially sales professionals, they don't want to fire clients. They take any and all opportunities, even if it's not really a good fit, even if they have a gut feeling that this is not going to be a good client for me. they don't know how to draw a line in the sand and create those guardrails. And we work on the language of, we're not going to be the best fit for you. I can make a referral. So, and it takes, I think, a long time for a lot of people to build that muscle, because you have to be able to say, here's a choice between, I want the sale, I want the money, I need the client, I got bills to pay, I got a family to feed, I got a mortgage
Yeah.
to pay, right? Versus, I have this opportunity with this client who probably has a good amount of money, and I'm probably going to make a good deal on this. And yet it's not a good fit. So there's that balancing act. So you sound like you have enough experience where it's like, you know what, this is not a good fit. I know what the client is, I know who I need. How long did it take you to build that muscle?
Great questions. Great comments. Those are, it didn't take me long to build the muscle, but it took me a long time to get to the point to where I could say, you're not a fit for us. Because there was a point where we were really young and I needed the client. I needed the money. I might not like them that much, but I also wasn't going to compromise on my ethics or my character or my standards. And if they chose to do that, that was one thing, but I was never going to do that, never did do that. But now I'm at the point where even if I just sense that we're not going to work well together, the muscle for me is really simple. I really just, quite frankly, I just say, listen, we are not a fit for each other. And a lot of people are offended by that, and I let them get offended.
Yeah.
They have to deal with that. But we're not going to bring people into our business that we know are not going to work well with us. In other words, there's a lot of people that want to tell us how to be advisors, what we should be doing, how we should manage our money, how they want to be a part of the decision-making process. And as a professional, I mean, it'd be like me going to their job and saying, "Hey, I really want to show you how to make widgets. I want to be a part of that process." And they're like, "Well, no, this is what I do. I'm a professional. I'm going to do it, and you're going to either take the widget or not." So that's kind of how we do it. You either like what we do or you don't. And nobody ever outservices us or any of those things in that capacity. Let me say this: your yes to a prospect is only as strong as your no to a prospect. So if you cannot say no to a prospect and you're just going to say yes to everybody, you're not going to have the greatest business. You're
That's right.
not going to be a happy professional.
Yep.
So I have no problem saying no to people. We said no to a person a couple of years ago that had $8.5 million. He was so upset with us. Why have $8.5 million? I said, sir, without all due respect, there's a lot of people that have $8.5 million, and I respect the fact that you do, but you don't fit with our firm. Well, why? What do you mean I don't fit with your firm? And so we had to kind of go through that, and we just parted ways. He was upset about it. I'm like, hey man, I'm sorry you're upset, but we just move on down the road. And I let the good Lord take care of the rest of it, man. I try to do the best thing I can for our firm. I'm looking out for our people. I'm looking out for our clients, and I want the best for our clients and our people. And we've got to mix well. We have to.
I respect that, and I can certainly appreciate it. It's interesting. So you just mentioned something about, the God and all that. So faith and spirituality is very important to you. Would that be an
Yes,
accurate statement? Okay.
for
So,
me, it
so
is. Yes.
okay, and I'm curious, because a lot of the CEOs and the business owners and professionals that I talk to, there's a there sometimes is a catch 22 with how you incorporate that into your business, because it's your personal life, it's your belief, it's how you operate as a human being, and then how do you bring that out into the world and keep with integrity in yourself? How do you
Yeah.
do that?
So how do I take a client who may not be like-minded with me? Is that what you're asking me? Who may not
Well,
have the
yeah,
same belief system?
yeah. I mean,
Uh,
and then how do you stay true to yourself? And so, yeah, and I'm not talking about different faiths, because if you have somebody, whether they're Jewish or Buddhist or atheist or Catholic or Christian, whatever it is, if they're like the gentleman who you just, used as an example, right?
mhm.
That like a client like that. So if Is it more, let me clarify the question. Is it more like they're arrogant and they have a lot of ego and pride and they can't get out of their own way? Or is it that they just have a lack of, I guess, self-awareness? Like what is it specifically that you are drawn to in an ideal client?
That's a really good question. I think character and integrity is by far the biggest part. And so as we take people through our onboarding process, as they follow what we're asking them to do, we know that they're either people of character and integrity, or they're not, right? So as we keep going down through our process, because we just don't have one meeting with a couple and say, oh, we just send your stuff over, we're going to transfer it all over. I mean, that has happened, but that is not our process. So we have about a 3 or 4 step process, because we want everybody that signs up, that comes on board. We want them to be very, very happy. We want them to have a great experience. We want them to have a good transition. It's hard to change, you know? So really what we're looking for is not just the quality of how we can help them, but we're looking for the quality of a person. Okay, well, who am I to judge who the quality of that person is? Well, at 63 years old, hopefully I can determine, in a few meetings, even if it's virtually, whether or not a person has character, integrity, is a high quality individual. I learn a lot about them on these phone calls. It's all about them anyway, right? And I learn about how they built their businesses or what they did professionally, and ask them questions that will kind of lead me to understanding more about those characteristics, those traits. And so those things are important. If a person says, man, Randy Hux is a believer in Jesus Christ and I'm not doing business with him because of it, we go, okay, I wasn't not doing business with you because you were not a believer of anything, or you don't believe in God or anything. That didn't matter, because there are a lot of people that are believers in Christ that do not have a lot of character and integrity. There are a lot. And there's
Yes.
also people,
Yep.
and there's also people that are not believers that have a great deal of character and integrity. So
Yeah.
I don't just measure things based on, well, what do you believe? What's your, belief in God, or belief in what is your belief system? But does it impact my life? Yeah. And, you know, should I, if I'm a great leader, if I'm a great business guy, if I am the father and the husband that I think I am, and I want to be, that should transfer over into my business life, and I should be the same person in business as I am personally. I'm not two different people. I'll never be two different people.
Good for you.
So I'll tell you this really quick, and because I know you want to ask me another question, but
It's
so
okay.
for those that are listening, and I think I mentioned this to you last time, but there's a song by Toby Keith, and the title of it is "Hate Me If You Want to and Love Me If You Can." And so when I first heard that many years ago, I said, "Man, that is definitely like my mantra. That fits me perfectly." So, and it's not that I want people to hate me by any means. Everybody wants to be liked, but not everybody is liked by everybody. And some people don't like you. So you can try as hard as you want. They're not going to like you. And so you just learn to shrug your shoulders and go, okay, well, that's fine. I mean, you have your opinion and I have mine. We just go our own ways. And there's plenty of business out there, and there's plenty of great people out there that are going to fit our firm. So
Yep.
those are the ones that we look for, and those are kind of some of the characteristics and traits that we look for.
Interesting. I also have a slew of clients over the years who the same attitude. It's like you're not going to be liked by everyone, and you've got to be okay with that. Because if you
Yeah.
start trying to be the yes man and be the nice one and be liked by everybody, you end up being liked by nobody because you're not really the person who you are. So the greatest gift you can give your clients, your family, your peers, your friends, your relatives, right, is to just be yourself, be who you are, show up authentically, and that's just it. So let's talk about your business for a little bit. So you've been in business, you said 20 years. So did you start the firm? Is this
I
this
did.
your baby?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Now
So-
I've been with some other, I started with Merrill Lynch and had, you know, a not very fun experience there, but I'm not a corporate America guy. I know I worked at Ernst and Young, but I did not like that at all. I worked in the biotech field for 20 years, like I said, but those were very entrepreneurial. I had ownership in those companies. We built those companies and sold those. So I have I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not just a and not that there's anything wrong with it. I don't work well in an environment where I'm micromanaged or I'm told exactly what to do, when to do, how to do it.
Yep.
You have to be there at 8. If you're there at 8:02, you're reprimanded. Like I'm a grown adult. I've always felt that way. I've been that way since I was a young kid. And I don't know what it is. It's just that I don't need to be told what to do. I'm a responsible human being and I know what it takes to be successful. To the point where I didn't mention this, at least in this podcast, but I did coach college baseball for many, many years. And I coached high school too as a volunteer guy for many, many years. And we won a couple of national championships. And part of the reason you win, part of the reason is because you have leadership skills and because you draw the line and the lines have to be drawn. If it's like having kids, if you don't draw the line and discipline your kids, you're going to have kids that grow up to be pretty terrible adults. Hate to tell you. And there's probably people listening that are like, that's me. I mean, it it's the same principle in our business.
Yep.
I just draw the line. Like, this is where we draw the line. We just got out of a staff meeting. I just said, here's where we draw the line on this. I said those words exactly. And it was one issue, and that was it. So people like that because they don't have to guess, they don't have to wonder. They know, oh, I know exactly what this guy stands for. I know exactly how he does business. That's the kind of guy I want. Somebody who has confidence, who has presence, who knows exactly where they want to go with our account, who knows exactly how to help us. That's the kind of guy I'm looking for. And that's who we are. We know how to manage money. We know how to set up accounts to where people are going to have great estates, where we can save taxes. We do a lot of tax stacking type ideas. I mean, I could go on and on. IRMA issues, Medicare, Social Security, making sure you have some protection in your accounts. Do you have gold, silver? Do you own real assets? All those things are things that we look at in the business, right? Those are just part of us being great fiduciary advisors, which I can tell you, I believe 95% of advisors out there, even if they are fiduciaries, are not any good.
Yeah,
So
they're just cookie cutter advisors.
they're cookie cutter and they're looking out for their
Yeah.
own best interest. I don't I I don't need any more money. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. And I'm not filthy rich by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't need it, man. I'm good. But I love doing this because people do not know where to go to find what we do. And so you ask me, how do we get the word out there?
Mhm.
Man, this is the hardest industry in the world to market in. It's the toughest industry to market in. And we're always trying to make it better. And so I don't know the answer to, hey, the services that we're using, is it the best? We think it is the best, or we wouldn't be using it. Are we going to come up with other ideas? Yeah. Are we on YouTube? Yes, we're on YouTube. We have tons of videos on YouTube. Does that help the general public to understand and educate themselves with money and finance? Of course it does. Does it help us market our business? It hasn't. But I'm not doing it in order to get more business. I'm doing it to educate the community because I was a client for 10 years before I got into this. 10 years I was a client with 3 of the other big box firms. And man, I got the very standardized commodity package of investing in stuff with the commentary was always just hang in there. Just hang in there. Things are going to
Oh,
be
that's what
okay.
they
Like,
said to you? Ouch.
yes, they all do. And these are the biggest firms on the block.
You're talking about
These are the biggest
KPMG and
firms.
yeah.
Well, no, well, that's accounting firm, but I'm talking about like from an investment firm. When I was with them, like it was Merrill Lynch. It was it was Wells Fargo. Is that caliber of firm
Mhm.
that they say they all kind of give you that, like it's all going to be okay, but they don't. When you get down into the strategy, like how can we do this? They don't know a lot of times. They don't know. And they don't know because they only have a certain amount of options within their firm. And their firm is what? They're a brokerage firm. The brokerage firms are there to do what? Make money.
Make money.
Make
Yep.
money on fees. They're brokerage firms. They're there. They make those advisors. They have certain goals and numbers they have to hit of new
Yeah.
accounts every month. Do you know what our goal is every year for new accounts and new clients? We don't have one.
Yeah.
We don't have one. There's no requirements around here. We
Yeah.
just grow our business and
Yeah.
we have fun doing it. We enjoy it. We love it. And there's pressure, but the pressure comes from ourselves. It's all self-induced. If you met my staff, you would be like, these are the most talented, some of the smartest, most intelligent people you're gonna run into. Thank God. I mean, they've come into our practice, come into our life, and they've helped so many clients with just a sleep factor. It's unbelievable. They understand as much about the business as I do, and they're not even advisors, some of them. So, man, when you have that kind of support for your clients, you can't help but enjoy what you do, and there's no pressure here. The only pressure is to make sure that you're keeping up with their expectations, your clients' expectations, their needs, what they want, all their desires, and that's fun for us. That's fun helping people accomplish goals. It's like winning a national championship, right? Like that was fun. But what was the fun part about it to us? The fun part was the relationship building.
Got it.
I love the kids, man. I still talk to those guys. They're grown men now, of course, but I still talk to them. Listen, we love our clients. That's the fun in all this. When you're do well by them and they enjoy that and they're having a good experience, they become your friends. And that's what makes it fun, and that's what makes life so sweet. This is just a part of life. This is not life. This is just a part of my life. The biggest part of my life is my family. Nothing's ever gonna trump that.
No.
So
And that shouldn't.
so
It
that's
shouldn't.
yeah.
So when
So
you're talking about leadership and staff and clients,
yeah.
okay. So how important is your communication with your staff, and what does that look like for you? Like, how do your clients benefit from the culture that you've created there?
Well, for sure. Again, just in our weekly staff meeting that we just had, it's Monday as we're recording this, but um, we have a Monday meeting, and in that meeting, we talked a lot about client service, and I always tell them, like, the words are exactly that. It says it right here. Stay focused on the fact that this is all about the client experience. That comment is made almost every week, if not every week. And it's on one of my it's on my checklist, my weekly checklist. Make sure that our client experience is nothing but the best. It's exceptional. Now, does that mean that we always make money? Of course not. Do you know an advisor that always makes money? No, because some things are out of your control. But do we monitor that closely? Are we diligent? Are we proactive in our management? Of course we are. We're not passive at all. You probably tell by my personality, like there's nothing passive about what
No,
we
there's
do.
not. You've got a lot of passion for this.
Very aggressive, very
It's
aggressive, and
good.
hopefully not offensively aggressive, right? We
Yeah.
want to be aggressive in favor, so that you see the passion that we have, because we want to help you. We want to help you,
Yeah, I
you
think
know.
that resonates. And I think it comes across very clearly. When a client comes to you and they're are most of your clients already a little financial savvy? Do they already have some ideas? You said, but there's a couple things. So they have to just also be very trusting of you because you're looking at their numbers. You're
Yeah.
seeing, what's under the hood. And So when they come to you, what's the ideal situation that you feel like you've got an expertise in?
Um, well, I want to be careful how I say this because there's not, there's only so many areas that me, Randy Hucks, right? Like I have expertise in, but our firm as a whole, we have expertise in every, absolutely every area of planning, investing, retirement, estate planning from beginning to end. I've actually hired what I think are the best people across the country with certain tasks. So, in other words, the estate planning guy that I utilize, the tax planning guy that I utilize. You heard me say I was a CPA, right? But
Yep.
I don't practice accounting anymore. So I don't want to. So, but I keep up with all the tax laws so that I can benefit my clients in their portfolios by reducing and eliminating their taxes. So a lot of advisors don't have that level of knowledge or experience, right? I'm fortunate that I do, but I don't want to do that. Like, I just want to be the head coach. I just want to be the guy that leads. I just want to be the guy that, you know, rolls out the plan, discusses the plan, works in a very team-like fashion with our prospects, with our team. We come up with what we think are the best options and solutions, and then me and the clients go to work on what they think is best for them, and then we implement it. We implement it. But so when you say expertise, what is my expertise? I guess it would be probably just leadership, would be my expertise. Now, do I have technical expertise? Of course I do. Of course I do. I mean, I've taught a course at a university in derivatives, which is the most complex issue in all of money and finance. So yes, I mean, I can do that. I don't enjoy that like I do the relationship part of it and the building part of it, the planning part of it. And then on top of all that, it's just keeping it simple for clients. There's no need to over financialize things, to make this harder than what it is, because it's never going to work out the way you plan.
No.
It's just, it's like in a baseball game. Look, it's the first inning. The way you play the first inning is different than how you're going to play the seventh, eighth, and ninth inning. Every pitch, every inning is different depending on where you're at in that game. And
Okay.
it's the same way with our clients. If we get them in the first inning, which is at 50 years old, and they get to the, seventh, eighth inning, which is when they're 75, and we have to make a change or anywhere in between, we just adjust and adapt and change, and we have no issues because we're so aggressive in doing that, and so proactive, I should say, not aggressive, proactive, and being willing to help people as their lives change in retirement, to help them also adjust their portfolios to reflect that change. So I would say that's my expertise. It's just I have enough experience now to where I know when to pivot for clients, and I know when to give them suggestions to improve their portfolios. And then we have a full team behind us. If there's something that, an answer that I don't know, that becomes a tax issue answer or state planning or
You've got the
anything,
team.
we
You've
just
got the
call our
team.
other teammates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the most successful and the most successful professional and grounded leaders that I've met and have had the opportunity to work with, right?
Uh-huh.
They always surround themselves with people who are experts in the areas in which they are not. And they are, I don't want to say the word humble, but they're honest enough with themselves and their ego is in check, like yours, where you don't have to be. And you don't have to say to a client, well, I know everything and I'm the guy. First of all, it becomes an overload of your time because you're only one person, your bandwidth is only so much. So the greatest gift that you've given your clients is to surround yourself with people who are experts in other areas, who you support and you teach, you train, you mentor, you guide, right?
Sure.
So if a client is listening to this, a prospective client is listening to this, and they want to get a little bit more information, they want to find you, they want to learn a little bit about your company, how do they do that?
Sure. So there's a YouTube channel, Huck's Capital Management. You can just YouTube it and they can see all the videos and get educated. They can learn a little bit more about us there. They can also go to our website, which is Huck's Hux Capital with a AL, huckscapitalmanagement.com, and they can go there and learn a lot about us there as well. But we go multiple levels deeper than the videos, multiple levels deeper than what you're going to find on a website. That's just so that you get a sense or a feel for us, right? And then if you want to set an appointment, you can do that. You just call our office at 800-988-7855, 800-988-7855. Mindy will most likely be the person that answers, and she'll set you an appointment, and you can set it with me. You can set it with any of the other advisors around, whoever you want. And we're glad to help, each and everybody, no matter where they're at. So um, we're not particular in that regard. In other words, you don't have to look. If you have $100,000 and you're calling us, do we want to help you? Yes, we do. But we run a business, right? And so we have to be able to make enough money to be able to support the people that we have here, which are the highest quality and caliber people, and they're not cheap. And so in order to do that, we have to have a minimum amount of assets that we will take on. As I mentioned to you, most of our clients have between $1.5 million, $8 million, and somewhere right in the middle, probably I would say probably the weighted average is probably about 3.5, 4 million is what we typically have. I'm not going to get more overloaded with clients, and neither will our firm ever. So there's not like there's unlimited slots.
Mhm.
You can just come whenever you want. I mean, if we decide to do that and expand, well, we have to bring somebody else in, right? And then they've got to be trained, and they've got to be trained to do this the same way that we're doing it already, or else it defeats the whole purpose of the company that we built. And I'm never going to allow that to happen as long as I'm alive.
So do you have
Um,
SOPs?
do we have what?
SOPs, standard operating procedures?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. We hired a company and paid them over $100,000 to make sure that all of our procedures, all of our processes are in place in case anything would happen to any of us. So yeah, we've been through the whole process because, if, as a business owner, I mean, what if something happens to me at 63 years old?
Well, we like to say God
What's
forbid, and yet, right. So the
yeah,
reality is, as we get
yeah,
older, it becomes, unfortunately, that's a thought. So the
yeah.
SOPs, though, so having standard operating procedures is another thing that a lot of companies, and even some that are very successful, and I'm sure you see this with some of your clients, they don't have SOPs, and well, it's in my head. Well, great, but what if something happens? Who's going to step in? How are they going to know what to do? What are the procedures? How do you do a client intake? How do you onboard a new client?
Yes.
What are the steps and the processes? What are the documents you need from a client? Where's the checklist? All of those things are what goes into SOPs, which is standard operating procedure. So it's very refreshing to hear that you you did that. So thank you.
Well, I'll tell you what's refreshing is the fact that you're asking me that question and you're not in our industry
No, but I have clients in your
because
industry. Yeah.
and you probably learn from them that that needs to be documented, and we know
Yeah.
that. So we again, that's an example of the fact that we don't sit back and allow things just to happen to us. We want to make sure that we're trying to think 2, 3, 4, 5 steps ahead at all times, even in our business. Worst case scenario in our business, something happens. What happens to our clients?
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Because we want to keep this going because we know this is a special place. We know it's a very special place. It's very unique. And people are fortunate to be able to be here, and we're fortunate to have those people that are here. I mean, it works both ways, quite honestly.
Nice.
And when it works, it's what makes coming to work so much fun. It's what makes building a business so much fun. And there's always going to be tough times, right? But that adversity has always made us better and sharper as business people, and made us better for our clients to be able to serve our clients. So that's the fun part, man. Every day's a new day. It's always going to be something interesting, exciting, and new.
That's good.
And yeah, so if something happens, We even have a succession plan. You know, if something happens to
Oh, that's
me,
great.
we have a succession plan in place, so nobody's going to miss a beat. You know, so we're
That's
excited that we
great.
have that. I'm not. I mean, I am, but I sure hope that doesn't happen. But you know, I'm not in control of that. You
Well,
know.
let's call it an exit strategy, okay? So it's got a
Yeah,
little bit of an,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
let's change
Well, they
that,
call it.
right?
They actually call it a business continuity plan.
Oh,
And I
I,
said, you know what? I like that a lot better than succession plan. I like a
yeah.
business continuity. How do we keep the business going? You
Yeah, there
know.
you go.
So,
Yeah. So it's kind of like passing the baton instead of having like, yeah, it's much better.
100%. Yes.
So, all right. So, if there was one last nugget that you would want to share with the listeners, whether it's something about a challenge that you overcame and how you handled it, or a story, or any last thoughts that you want to share, this would be a great time to do that.
Yeah. I appreciate that. I'm a storyteller, right? So as a as a baseball coach and now find and a player as a baseball player and now as an advisor, I'm really a I consider myself a coach of finance now, you know. So I'm still coaching people just in a different subject matter. And so I have so many stories about how we've helped people that felt helpless, that really were at the end of their rope and did not know how to achieve whatever it was they were going to achieve. And they didn't know if they'd be able to retire, for example. When can I retire? Some people they just don't know. They don't know, they don't have access to the professionals like us that have the options that we do. If you were going to compare like our profession to any other profession, I would say carpentry. So there are great carpenters, there are good carpenters, and then there's poor carpenters.
Yeah.
It's just the facts.
Yeah.
There are good physicians, there's great physicians, and there's poor physicians. And we've seen it all from 2020 to current. It has been exposed, baby. And so you can't argue it. The facts, everybody's gone back and they realize there was some really bad science, and it really wasn't science
Yeah.
that was lied about. Okay. They got found out. So you're always going to get found out, right? So we are, um, we're on the higher spectrum, of course. We know that because you can go to our Google search, and we don't ask people for ratings, but they often give us ratings. We don't have a ton of them. We're not beggars for anything. But you can see what our clients think of us. You can see what our ratings are, and that'll give you a sense or feel. But I would tell you that, you know, being able to help someone free their mind, and no matter what their situation is, we helped a guy find his and roll over his 401k because he absolutely said there was no way he could do it at his age. And he was like 65 years old, but he still worked for that company. And they were telling him all this stuff. And we literally pulled all the documents from his company for him. And we read through them all, and we showed him, and we found the person that in his own organization that he needed to go to have the conversation with. And when he did, and he took his documentation there and he told them what we told him to tell, they said, oh, well, yeah, of course you can take your 401k and roll it over. He's like, well, why for the last 3 or 4 years have y'all told me I couldn't do that? I mean, just the little things, you know, that's a little thing. I mean, but it was difficult for him, you know.
That was a big thing to
We
him.
Yeah, a big thing to him. And,
Yeah.
and now he's done well. He sent us the rest of his money. I mean, that's just the way it works when you really want to help people. Show them you want to help them. Show them.
Yeah.
Show them that, you know, show them your knowledge, your experience, your expertise, your ability to handle difficult problems, to answer difficult questions. People respect that. What they don't respect is when you just say, oh, you know, I'm not really sure. Let me get back with you on that. And they never hear back from you, you know? And there's a lot of that going on now, you know, in our society, you know, people that just don't want to do the work, but they don't have the guts to tell you anything. You know, people with courage are people that we we flock to them, man. We love people with courage because we feel like we are courageous in what we're doing, and we feel like we're very helpful in what we're doing. So I don't know. I could tell you 100 stories of how we help people, or hundreds of them, and really, really good stories. And some of them are kind of sad. We've lost clients due to death. We've never lost a client by them pulling accounts. And so, we're proud of that. That's a good
Oh,
record for us.
that's a very nice compliment. So, all right. So is there one last nugget? And let's say just broadly, talking to anybody who's thinking about starting a business, whether it's in the financial sector or manufacturing, wherever they are, right?
Yeah.
If there was one thing that you would give advice to as a CEO that was maybe shifting or pivoting, what's the biggest piece of advice you'd like people to know?
Man, I appreciate that question. I love that question because it is literally when you find something that you want to do, you should have an expectation that there's going to be some very, very difficult times ahead of you. Times that you think you can never overcome. Like that's just too big for you. I wear this little bracelet and I've worn it for about 8 years. And it says on it, Team Never Quit. TNQ, Team Never Quit. And I got that from Marcus Luttrell,
Yeah.
who was the Navy SEAL, one of the 4 guys that got shot down in Afghanistan, who survived, lone survivor. And I listened to his podcast, and that's the mantra that he lives by: never quit. And I would tell any entrepreneur, when you found something, I don't care how low you have to go. If you love what you do and you love serving and helping people, or you love your craft or whatever it is, do not ever quit, and do not listen to anybody that tells you otherwise. Do not listen to anybody who says, oh, you'll never be able to do that. I've heard that so many times. Listen, I've been at the bottom of the bucket in this business about 12, 13, 14 years ago. I've been at the bottom of the barrel wondering whether or not I was even cut out for this or not. That's how difficult this thing got. And it takes money to run a business, and it takes money to do marketing and do all the things you need to do to reach people, right? So I just reminded myself of what Marcus Luttrell went through.
Yeah.
I remind myself of all the people out there that are so much more or less fortunate than I am, than we are, that have made it. And the bottom line is, it's not, even though I'm in the money business, it's not about the money for me. It is about the people for me. But I would tell everybody to stay focused on something other than yourself, and
That's
do not
great.
ever quit.
Good. Thank you.
That's what I would say.
I appreciate that. Quitting is not an option. Yeah.
Well, it is, but
But don't do it. Yeah, don't do it. You're right. You're right.
You know,
It's
so
funny.
it's a heck of a lot easier to quit
It
than it
is.
is to push through and make it through, and so even with what you're doing, Deborah, I mean, I'm sure you have your tough times too. You just gotta, man, days can be tough, and you just gotta go,
Yeah.
and
You
just,
got to keep moving.
not everything's in your control anyway, right? It's not always under our control.
We control really one thing, our thoughts, our actions, our words. Other than that, there's really not too much we control. They're outside of
right.
that.
We like to think that we control everything, though.
Yeah.
But the reality is, at the end of the day, I'm like, I can't do this on my own.
No.
Can't do it on my own.
No, that's why it's important to build a team. So thank you so much, Randy. We really appreciate having you on the show, and I know our listeners will get a lot out of this. So again, it's Randy Hucks, and it's Hucks Managed. Why don't you give the website one more time? Hucks
Sure,
Capital.
it's Randy Hucks. Randy Hucks is my name, but then it's Hucks Capital Management, HUX.
Okay.
Capital with a AL management.com.
Gotta love,